what do you think are some of the main reasons why salespeople tend to fail so easily in their roles?
I think that there's a lot when we're looking at salespeople, there can be a big halo effect. There's all kinds of biases that can affect us, but there can be a really big halo effect where it's like, oh, this person has a great story. They came from the right industry. They came from the right company. They have the right Rolodex. And the things that are more important are the traits that they have. And so you have to be able to figure out how to quantify and measure and get to whether they have the right traits instead of just, like a lot of the rules of thumb with hiring salespeople, like come from a company I admire. Well, that company might have a ton of marketing resources that your company doesn't have. The context may have been different that they were selling in. And so a lot of the rules of thumb that we use for hiring salespeople don't work the way they work in a lot of other roles.
Yeah, that's definitely a great point that you brought up there because, it's not an apples to apples comparison between companies always. What they've done in the past doesn't always translate to your company. To your point, especially if they're an SMB and you might have limited resources, you might be looking for somebody in that particular case that might be a little bit more resourceful and might have, a really strong network. So maybe if they don't have the marketing resources, they have people they can call on to be able to get in the door and start getting some sales going, just built on reputation alone.
Yeah, I always encourage hiring managers to try to be more flexible in terms of how they think of experience and be more strict in terms of how they think of the traits that they need to succeed. You mentioned resourcefulness. That's a really important one. Like we'll have a lot of times hiring managers will have this rule of thumb. Like I like to hire former college athletes, or they came from this great company, and those things, or again, I mentioned the Rolodex before. I think that when hiring manager asked, would you rather hire someone who has a great Rolodex or a history of high performance? They know that the right answer is a history of high performance. Mm-hmm. But when it's not put to them that way, they tend to overemphasize the Rolodex and overemphasize these things that are the wrong things. And so, resourcefulness, adaptability, history of achievement, these are some of the things that really matter in lots of sales roles. Every sales role is a little bit different, but these are the sorts of things that tend to matter in lots of sales roles, less so than I was a college athlete or I worked at, such and such a company. And so I think like keeping focused on the right things and really like, it's easy to know what company someone worked at or what their background was in terms of athletics. And it's harder to know, does this person have a history of excellence? Is this person adaptable? Are they resourceful? And so you have to have the right tools to interview and measure those things, because those things are harder to discover, but they're more important than the things that we tend to use as rules of thumb.